Disasters include events such as hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and fires. Depending on the community where you live, these events could be pretty rare or slightly more common. While it may not be possible to prevent disasters from happening, it is possible to make preparations in advance to help keep yourself and your family safe. A disaster preparedness plan is one way to feel safe and remain safe in the event of a disaster. When creating a disaster preparedness plan, it helps to take into account the type of disaster that is most likely to occur where you live. You can customize the plan according to the type of disaster you are likely to experience. In this lesson, we will review a generalized disaster preparedness plan to give you an idea of how to create one for yourself. A disaster preparedness plan should include such things as creating an emergency supply kit, a family communication plan, evacuation plan, and designating a family meeting place should your family members become separated. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, recommends that the following items be included in a basic emergency supply kit: 1 gallon of water per person in the family per day. You should have enough water in your emergency kit to last 3 days. So for a family of 4, you should include 12 gallons of water to be used for drinking and sanitation. In addition to water, you should also include a 3-day supply of non-perishable food in the emergency supply kit and a can opener for canned food. You should also include a battery-powered radio with extra batteries, a flashlight with extra batteries, a first aid kit, a whistle to signal for help, a dust mask to help filter contaminated air, plastic sheeting and duct tape to shelter in place, moist towelettes, garbage bags, and plastic ties for personal sanitation, a wrench or pliers to turn off utilities, local maps, and important family documents such as copies of IDs, insurance policies, and bank account records. These documents should be kept in a portable, waterproof container like a Ziploc bag. Additional items to consider adding to your emergency supply kit could include any prescription medications that you or your family members take, an extra pair of glasses if you need corrective lenses, infant formula and diapers if there is a baby in your family, pet food and extra water for your pet if you have one, cash or traveler's checks and change, emergency reference material such as a first aid book, a sleeping bag or warm blanket for each person, and a complete change of clothing for each person. You may want to include extra bedding or extra layers of clothing if you live in a cold weather climate. You may also want to add a container of household chlorine bleach and a medicine dropper, since it can be used as a disinfectant. In an emergency, bleach can be used to treat water for drinking by adding 16 drops of bleach to 1 gallon of water. For this purpose, do not use scented or color-safe bleach or bleaches with added cleaners. Other additional items might include a fire extinguisher, matches in a waterproof container, feminine hygiene supplies or other personal hygiene items, paper cups, plates, plastic utensils, and paper towels, paper and pencil, and books, games, puzzles, or other non-electronic activities for children. Be sure to keep your emergency kit ready and in a location that is easily accessible. In addition to an emergency supply kit, your disaster preparedness plan should include a family communication plan that each member of the family has discussed and understands. This will help your family members get in touch with each other if you should become separated as a result of a disaster. Many people these days have cell phones they use to keep in touch with their family and friends. Cell phones make it very easy to communicate. However, during a disaster or emergency situation, cellular services can experience outages for various reasons. If it is not possible to make calls on your cell phone, you need to have a backup plan for communication. If one contact method doesn't work, try using another. Keep trying until you are able to make contact. Try making calls during off-peak hours. This will give you better chances of your call getting through. Try sending a text message. Text messages sometimes go through when phone calls cannot. Check social media like Facebook and Twitter for updates from your loved ones. Send an email. If you are unable to send emails on your phone, many disaster shelters have computers with internet access. Try calling friends or relatives who may have already been in contact with your loved one. And finally, try using the Red Cross Safe and Well website to list yourself as safe and well, or search for a family member. It is helpful to designate, in advance of an emergency, an out-of-town contact that your family members can call in order to communicate with each other. Choose someone that lives in a different location that is unlikely to be affected by the same disaster in your area. Make sure each member of your family knows who the out-of-town contact is and how that person can be reached. Keep a copy of their contact information in the emergency supply kit. It might not be a bad idea to have their phone number memorized in case cell phones lose their charge and you cannot access stored contact information. In addition to having an out-of-town point of contact, it is wise to designate a meeting place away from your home. This way, if you are unable to make contact by phone, you know where to go to reunite with loved ones. Choose one designated meeting place within your neighborhood and a second meeting place within your town or city. Then if you are unable to meet up at the first location, you can try the second. If it becomes necessary to evacuate, your family should have a plan that includes where you will go and how you will get there. Identify a couple different places you could travel to in the event of an emergency, for example, the home of a friend or family member in another state, or a motel. Choose a variety of locations in different directions so you have options during an emergency. If you have a pet, make sure the locations you have chosen will accept them. Many motels and public shelters only allow service animals. Be sure to discuss which means of transportation you will use during an evacuation, for example, the family car, or public transportation like a bus or train. Have a backup plan in case your first means of transportation is unavailable. Be sure to follow recommended evacuation routes and always follow the instructions of local officials. In case of an emergency, having a disaster preparedness plan in place can help you and your family stay safe. Physical safety is the first priority during a disaster, but once the danger has passed, oftentimes emotions take over. Depending on the situation, people may react by crying, laughing hysterically, becoming very sad, or even very frightened. This behavior is normal, but children and even adults may need help understanding and dealing with their emotions once the disaster has passed. Focusing on mental and emotional health following a disaster situation is important. Talking with someone about your feelings is an excellent way to cope with trauma. This could be a family member or friend, or a mental health professional like a counselor or therapist. Children especially may need emotional help following a disaster. Following are some strategies that can help a child to feel safe again. Talk to the child about their feelings about the disaster, and share your feelings too. Discuss what happened in language the child can understand. Reassure the child that they are safe. Hold and touch the child often. Spend extra time with the child, especially at bedtime. Allow the child to grieve over a lost toy, blanket, or home. Finally, consider seeking professional care if the child doesn't seem to be rebounding emotionally. Planning ahead for disasters will help you to feel prepared and will also help to keep you safe should disaster strike. Don't forget that in addition to ensuring physical safety during a disaster, you also need to focus on mental and emotional health after the disaster has passed. The next unit will focus much more on the mental and emotional aspect of the health triangle.